Are you a whiskey snob? Oh, I feel like I have been. I feel like I am sometimes still. Actually, when it comes to hanging out with friends, I definitely have some snob-like behavior where I hassle people about things. But let me see if I can explain. Well, first let me see if I can get this dang thing open. It's got no perforation that I can see. So, let me first say, I'm going to verbalize the difference between a whiskey snob and a whiskey person with opinions. Because I'm definitely a whiskey person with opinions, but I try not to be a snob. I would argue that you could put some of us in this community into, maybe snob is the wrong word, and you could say connoisseur. So if you look up the word connoisseur, it's somebody who according to the dictionary, appreciates the finer, more luxury and expensive things in life. And immediately my brain goes, snob. But I don't think that's what makes a snob entirely. Especially if you redefine the finer things as things that I enjoy, right? So if instead of saying this thing is real expensive and so I like it because it's expensive, if you say I enjoy the finer things in life and for you, one of the finer things is a Jack and Coke and the back deck in good weather in the fall, then that's a connoisseur, right? In my definition that I'm being very liberal with. Now, all over the internet, you'll see people having a strong opinion about a whiskey or about whether something is good or not or whether they like something or not. And as soon as someone says, I don't like this whiskey, immediately in the comments, accusations of whiskey snobbery start flying. But I don't think having a strong opinion about what you do and don't like makes you a snob. So, if I'm saying that having a strong opinion doesn't make you a snob, and liking the finer things doesn't make you a snob, then what exactly is a whiskey snob? I define it really narrow, and I'll explain it to you. But first, we're going to try this whiskey. This was brought during the Whiskey Somm gathering by Brian Calavey, the Kilco YouTube channel, and it's a Prohibition Bushmills. Now, I had not seen this, but I don't do a lot of whiskey shopping. And it's, as soon as you pick it up, there's a picture of, what's his name? Thomas Shelby from the Peaky Blinders. And I've never seen the Peaky Blinders show, but if you watch YouTube, then you've seen hundreds of clips of Peaky Blinders because it's everywhere. So I feel like I have a handle on Peaky Blinders. I feel like it's a show that's too violent for my tastes. I'd probably never watch it. But I appreciate the vibe. And it does say, when you look on the front of the label, by order of the Shelby Company Limited. And then when you look up the press release, it says, this is the closest Bushmills that you can get, matching the flavor profile of what would have come out in the 30s during Prohibition in the Thomas Shelby era. Now, do we have any proof of that? No. When did it come out? I think 2022 is when this first started releasing. But the normal Bushmills has a little bit of sherry cask in it too. It's not just bourbon cask. This one is evidently bourbon cask explicitly. I don't know if that means no sherry, but it only mentions bourbon and doesn't mention sherry barrels. I should have done an A/B comparison with a classic Bushmills, but I like Bushmills. I've always been a fan of Bushmills, and I'm not objective. This is really rattly, if you can hear that. Sorry, I'm not going to take it off. My son made this for me, and I've been wearing it ever since, and I'm still getting used to what it feels like to have a rolling bracelet on my arm, so if I look fidgety, that's why. All right, so immediately I do get this sort of like cream, berries and cream vanilla direction with a little bit of, wow, I'm going to say it, and I hate these, so this is a bad example, but like, and then my mind went blank. What's the dessert treat with bananas and ice cream and...
Bananas Foster.
No, Bananas Foster is the cooked one.
You're right.
What's Banana split. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mike. It's the video guy helping me out in the background. It's got a hint of banana split, like vanilla ice cream and fresh banana, but the banana's really soft and in the background, but it takes it that direction instead of pure berries and cream. There's not a lot else going on in the nose. It's very simple. Oh man, I like that. It's a little bitey at the end. It's got a little more oomph than my memory of the classic Bushmills has. And I could see that would throw you if you're looking for that softer, fruitier sherry cask Bushmills. I would bet that this is not very far off of the classic Bushmills, like degrees, not like 30, 40%. I do get that really classic shortbready kind of vibe, but it's got this really thin vanilla cream layer, and then it's a little bitey at the very end, on the tail end of the finish. Like, not quite tannin, but a little, and a little metallic. I don't know. I bet this would go on the rocks better. I don't know if I like it more than the classic Bushmills. I don't dislike it. I like Bushmills, so it's not hard to please me with random Bushmills. Interesting. I think it's an interesting take. Here's what I do like about it, about the celebrity branding. And often in celebrity brandings, you get this like all in on the celebrity. And the brand is totally in the background, buried by the celebrity release. And the only two that I've seen that have still held on in a strong way to the original character and identity have been the Offerman releases. And I kind of like how they made this a kind of a subtle addition to the Bushmills instead of a dominant. Like, you know how the Game of Thrones releases were? That was one where Johnny Walker's brand took a massive backseat to Game of Thrones branding. And that's fine, and it made collectibles, but I prefer this one, where Bushmills is still the dominant brand, and there's this sort of nod to a historical era and a little hint to the character from the show, and I think that's cool. Okay, so what makes a Snob? I'm gonna add a little water, by the way, to this. Doop, doop. It's at 46, so it can stand to take just a little, and we'll let it settle. What makes a Snob? It's not somebody who enjoys the finer things, because I think you can define the finer things however you like. And it's not someone who has strong opinions, because nerds always have strong opinions. I know, I'm one of them. I think it's someone who gives you for your opinion. That is a Snob. Someone who takes their preferences and then drops a hammer on you or puts you in your place for the way in which your preferences don't line up with their preferences. That's a whiskey snob. I think it's safe to say that we as whiskey nerds treat whiskey a little differently than the general population, and it's fair for us to have strong opinions, and I like that. I like whiskey lover versus connoisseur, because connoisseur has all kinds of baggage. Okay, I give this example in tastings. If I ask you, and I'm gonna ask Mike, who's behind the camera since he's already spoken up. Mike, which one of your favorite foods? Pizza, okay. He said pizza. I've had pizza. You're wrong. It's terrible. In that interaction, only one of us looks like an asshole, and it's not Mike, right? I just asked someone about their personal preferences. They answered, and then I went, "You're stupid. That's a bad answer." That's the definition of a snob. And in that interaction in public, if we were at a table, you would be like, "Daniel, don't be a dick. Mike likes pizza," right? But somehow you go to a bar with a 500 whiskey list, and you order a Bushmills Prohibition, and a bartender goes, "All right, whatever, Bushmills," right? They just did to you exactly what I just did to Mike. And often, unless you're a real whiskey nerd, often what we'll do in that situation is backpedal our own preferences because we feel a little embarrassed We feel a little put in our place. We go, oh, well, I don't know. I must have f***ed up. We've violated some unwritten rule we don't know about. And then later you get real annoyed about like, that wasn't cool, man. That's a snob. And I don't care how knowledgeable they are, that's a snob. So don't be a whiskey snob. Do be a whiskey lover? Oh, I really don't like that phrase either. It just feels weird. Maybe whiskey nerd. Here's to you, my fellow whiskey nerds. The water did not change anything on the nose. Oh, and it ruined it on the palate. Ooh. It got real metallic. It brought forward all of the banana fruit, but in a way that feels a little off and clingy. It's better as it is. So, cheers to you, my fellow whiskey nerds. Don't be a snob. I'm really glad you're here. So I'm not crazy. Pizza is delicious. Mike is not wrong. Like and subscribe.